we go, here we go, here we go. It's markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Friday, August 11th, 2023. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin, altcoin market, XRP, and the stock market, as the stock market is opening right now, to see what type of price action we're starting the day off with today and any type of important news that is going on as our day kicks off. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let's go ahead and dive into what's going on with crypto. So today is Friday. It's the end of the week. I've been running through this. It's getting a little bit difficult to talk about new things going on in the market right now, as we have been stuck right here. I went and checked. We've been right here at this price, this $29,400, just kind of bouncing around. We're in the middle of this range. We've been here for 19 days at this point. I guess I probably couldn't have picked a better time to go on vacation for my end of summer vacation, with everything just kind of being totally stagnant in here for Bitcoin over the course of the last 3 weeks. So I think everybody's kind of getting tired of it. Probably. Give us something, right? Give us a important price level to get to the downside, or give us a breakout, but ranging, of course. I've cracked jokes about this in the past. You know, why is there always a team up? Why is there always a team down? Why is there never a team sideways? And it's because nobody wins in a team sideways. It's just boring. So we've been stuck here. So today we'll run through this stuff. We'll talk about the stock market. We'll talk about producer price index, which came out today. And then we'll just kind of hop in the chat, keep it light, tight, and bright on a Friday. And if it ends up wrapping up quick, it wraps up quick. But there we go. Bitcoin sitting at $29,400 as we kick off the day. It's about where we were at yesterday. To kind of give like a visualization of what markets are truly like. And I've talked about this with XRP a lot too, is that what typically happens in the XRP community, people get really beat down after price action goes sideways for a long time. But XRP historically moves in these manners, right? Where it's really brutal, and then the straight line up ends up showing up, and then it goes brutal again. That's just normal historical price action for XRP. It's kind of always been like that, and especially during bull runs and all that good stuff. It happens very quickly, and then it runs out of steam, and it just spends most of our time consolidating. And that's been the case here with Bitcoin. So it's not unusual for us to sit here and be like, man, we've been stuck in this little tiny price range right here for 19 days. You can just go look at what has happened in all of 2023. These green boxes represent the time price is moving up. The red represents time periods where we're either consolidating or doing nothing. And this is actually totally normal. This is what markets are usually like. And we're in one of those red periods right now, but even more reduced volatility than we've even seen in here. I guess you could say right here was about the same amount of time as what we've been in here. And yeah, that stunk too, right? And then what happened? SEC says, hey, we know you're beaten up now. Let's go ahead and attack you. But either way, we're still just sitting there for Bitcoin, waiting for it to give us a break. But good old boring Bitcoin for 3 weeks in a row right now. So before we jump in here, let's go through the simple stuff real fast. My only social media that I actively use is BC Backer over here on Twitter or X. I'm not DMing people. I'm not asking you to send crypto. Do not always check. If the handle is not BC Backer, there's lots of people who make imitation handles with underscores, and they'll switch a letter, and they'll do all this kind of stuff. 280.1 thousand followers over here on Twitter. Check that. Check for the check mark. And check the handle. This is the only social media I use. If you're talking with somebody on Instagram or something like that, it's not me. Of course, you guys could check out bcbacker.com over the weekend. Check out all the content that I put out there and recorded here this year in 2023 that was released a little over a month ago. Over 40 videos with over 11 hours of content diving into the crypto market, teaching you all the ins and outs of what has happened in this market, designed for anybody who is brand new to even seasoned pros. I'm sure you will learn something new in there. But all right, moving on over to XRP. Again, story is the same. It's been like this all week. We've been sitting here right above the breakout level. Questionable on whether or not we've actually gotten close enough to the breakout level or not. The thing that I've been kind of paying attention to, like we've talked about this week, has been XRP versus the Bitcoin price chart. And if you kind of run the math on it, where like, let's just pretend that Bitcoin completely stayed still here. Let's do this. And if XRP shuffled its way down and actually ended up hitting the 200-week moving average, well, that's a negative 4.64% fall for XRP versus Bitcoin. What would a negative 4.64% fall in XRP do in this circumstance right here? It doesn't even set a new low. So it would just get back down near the lows once again. Now that would change pretty dramatically, say, if Bitcoin takes a spill or something. So this is only under the pretense that Bitcoin actually just stays still. If Bitcoin stayed here in this $29,400 area, if XRP fell down, boy, I've got so much going on here. If XRP fell back down to say 60 cents, that would actually get us the connection of XRP versus Bitcoin. And so that's the point where, don't follow me blindly. But I personally am going to be taking a shot and swapping some of my Bitcoin for XRP at that moment. If it gets offered, I don't even know if it will, but if it does, I'll take a shot at it and add more to my bags. I think it'll increase my total bags by about 6 or 7%. As XRP is my largest holding, and I've been accumulating that thing for like 4 or 5 years. All right, as for the stock market, so a little bit of a rough pre-market as we had PPI come out this morning. Let's take a look here. So Dow Jones is down 33 points after the opening, which is 0.1%. It's not a big number. S&P is down a little bit more, down 0.35%, and the Nasdaq's down 0.65%. Leaders and losers this morning, you got Caterpillar, United Health, and GE as your winners. Your losers are Roblox, Coinbase, and Tesla down here. We talked about this yesterday. It's still just hovering above that final retracement over there on the Dow mini futures. I don't find much to really read from any of the price action we're seeing now outside of just volatility. Yesterday was pretty crazy. We had the CPI come out yesterday, and it was fine, right? But most market participants, of course, didn't study it like we did, where we knew that we had dropped off like a 1.3% from the year over year back in June of 2022. And that we were just going to go ahead and start kind of flatlining, and likely probably go back and find my live streams, go back and look at the discussions we have about CPI, that we would see a bounce actually happen this month. And we did. We saw it go from 3 to 3.2 or 3.3%. Producer price index came out today. Again, another slight bounce, but this is what kind of triggered the market to get a little bit of volatility this morning, is once the producer price index information came out. Let me see if I can get that pulled up here on the screen. But to give you an idea of why the headlines change, right? So here's your year-over-year producer price index. The producer price index measures the change in the price of goods sold by manufacturers. It's a leading indicator of consumer price inflation, which accounts for the majority of overall inflation. This went nuts, right? Producer price index went all the way up to over 11% there in 2022. Then falls all the way practically to zero, right? So that there was like no year-over-year change. We see a slight bounce here. Now it's at 0.8% year-over-year. Go look through historical norms. Is that out of line to have this little 0.8%? Nope. What would it mean if it went negative? It would mean we're seeing deflation happening in the market. So it's no surprise we're seeing it bounce, and we're just seeing it hang out near these lower numbers. Of course, it's the first uptick. Go look through all of these moves. These are all downward, every single one of them. We get down to practically zero. Hey, we bounce a little bit. Why? Because we're not in a deflationary environment. We're still in an inflationary environment, which we typically are. We're just not in deflation. So nothing crazy, but that is where some of the volatility showed up in the stock market this morning once that report was released about an hour and 8 minutes ago. So nothing. In other words, these reports look fine to me. These CPIs, these PPIs, everything looks completely in line. I think the pain people feel probably, and the doomers out there are going to point to, well, if it's only this, then why am I paying so much more for cars? Why am I paying so much more for groceries? Compared to 2 years ago, if we're only at 2% or something like that. And it's just not, those people just don't have an understanding of what the measurement of inflation is when we're looking at year over year. We can increase by 10% 1 year, and then the next year only increase by 2%. That doesn't mean that we take back the 10% that happened. Like we're 2% higher than what we were with that 10% rise that we already had. the only way we're going to actually end up seeing those prices come down from the craziness that we saw is to see actual deflation happen. So you need to see negative numbers getting printed. So we don't, and then, here's the problem with that. If you see negative numbers getting printed, what are people going to scream? The sky is falling. It's over. Doomtown, if we're having deflation actually happening. So there's kind of no win-win. Really, the money zone is kind of where we're at right now, being at these 0.2s, 3s, whatever, 2%. So, all right, looking at the stock market, Dow Jones 56 points in the red to start the day out, down 0.18%. S&P down 0.41%. NASDAQ down 0.69%. Now, if you caught yesterday, markets in the morning, we had crazy volatility yesterday after the CPI released, and the Dow even got up to over 400 points to the upside, and then it took it all back, and it closed the day being up only about 57 points, I believe. So there you go. There's your big pop that happened yesterday morning. Let's take a look and see what it actually ended up being. Up 456 and then took it all back. So it's certainly just ranging action happening in here for the Dow. Nothing to run home and tell mom about and be all excited about, or really to be doomtown about, but just ranging, boring. Kind of like our good buddy over here. So still stuck for Bitcoin. Otherwise, for XRP heading into the weekend, the thing that I'll be watching for is to see, do we get that dip happening in there? Do we get the 200-week moving average touch happening for the XRP price chart after spending 4 years underneath it? Do we finally come back and back test it? If we get that back test, that's where I'll be taking a shot at it. As for the US dollar currency index continuing to try to break the height that it had set just a few days ago. Let's see, late last week, Thursday of last week, it reached as high as 102.85. Trying to fight against that again today. We'll see if it ends up getting its way through. At this time, gold gold has been almost irrelevant to talk about right now. When we were shuffling up there, this was certainly something to be very nervous of. If gold, for some reason, starts, well, then, yeah, we've got something to talk about. But as of right now, there's nothing really to say with it. Just kind of continuing to drift down. The idea with gold is that if gold breaks out into a new all-time high and starts going, that's historically a very bad sign for the stock market. A bad sign for the stock market is likely a bad sign for the cryptocurrency market based on the entire history of the cryptocurrency market and its correlation to stocks and the strong inverse relationship between gold's bull markets and the stock market's bull market. So if we start seeing gold get to break out, that's going to be a pretty eerie sign for the stock market and probably crypto too. But as of right now, we don't see that. But it's something the reason we still pull it up every day, even though it's been boring, is just keeping our eyes on that. We know that inverse relationship happens. I've made videos on it, written newsletters about it. We all know it. All right, moving on to the news happening in here. I haven't really checked the crypto news. I've been paying more attention to the broader market news this morning. California Commission outlines campaign disclosure requirements for crypto. Bitcoin hugs 29.5 thousand into CPA as odds split over new U.S. inflation. As odds split, okay. Inflation spike. It's not an inflation spike. That's the problem with all this. Fortunately, hopefully you pay attention to this channel and you realize there was no spike in inflation. there was no spike in inflation. We saw, what did we get? A 0.2% reading, right? For CPI. That's not a spike. That's a 2.4% annualized rate. What happened was a 0.0% fell out of the year-over-year calculations. And so that automatically is going to make that 3 rise to a 3.2 or 3.3, whatever it was. There was no spike. AI, Apple developing Pocket AI deepfake music deal, hypnotizing GPT-4. What will Bitcoin do if the Justice Department takes aim at Binance? XRP is not a security, period. Crypto lawyers on Ripple's case amid SEC appeal. Yeah, and we've talked about this week. These guys are going to run their little narratives over there in the Bitcoin communities to try to FUD it. Whatever, man. Let them do what they need to do. Whenever I see them doing it, I just know you're terrified. The only reason you have to spin this narrative is out of fear. Otherwise, you wouldn't care. All right, looking over here at CoinDesk. Greed and fear index signals bull revival into Bitcoin. Okay, let me pull that up. Let's take a look. Not true. It's still all neutral. Could FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried go to jail? So today, Sam Bankman-Fried does have a court appointment regarding his bail and whether or not he will sit in a jail cell or be freed until October. I saw a poll conducted over there on how many people thought, would he go to jail in this or would he be freed? I said he would be freed. He's not going to go sit in jail until October. Alt season is coming, technical analysis suggests. An inverse head and shoulders pattern, one of the most trusted bullish price setups, is building in the altcoin market. All right, let's do it. All right, you trapped me in there. I don't know about that. Okay. What's he seeing? Let's go see what he's seeing. Right? Which chart will we get rid of? We'll get rid of the DXY. Right. So we're inverse head and shouldering here is the argument, right? But what is this? This is Wyckoff, right? Right. Climax, automatic rally, secondary test in phase B, right? And then this would be working out what? Our last point of support to then, right? Then it's watch out city. Be careful. Okay. Any other news on CoinDesk? That's probably the first time we've actually clicked on a Shiba Inu bucks Bitcoin snooze fest ahead of Shibarium deployment. Oh, there's Shibarium. Okay, that's pretty much it happening over there. We talked about SHIB yesterday. It's one of those ones that I pointed to in that thread that I made showing the Wyckoff accumulation spring happening in the market, and that it also was one of them. We showed that again yesterday. Wholesale prices rose 0.3% in July, higher than expected. And then, oh no, $5 eggs, $6 eggs. With eyes on Taiwan, new China ban shows the U.S. may be learning lessons from mistakes with Russia. By the way, if you don't understand why I laugh when we go through the news section, it's because this is all clickbait. Right? This is all misleading clickbait data to create either fear. It's designed to trigger emotions to get people to click on it and to read it and to worry. So I laugh at it. With eyes on Taiwan, new China ban shows the U.S. may be learning lessons from mistakes with Russia. Goldman Sachs backed digital bank Starling to expand in hotly competitive Asia-Pacific market. All right, moving over to Bloomberg. Biden calls China's economy a ticking time bomb. U.S. producer price inflation picks up on boost from services. U.S. housing market recoups $3 trillion lost in recent slowdown. Okay, there you go. La boring. We're just stuck. It's just stuck. So, all right, let's jump into the chat. That's where we're at, guys. We are at 3 weeks of Bitcoin sitting at this price action. We're at XRP. If it moves down 4.5% and if Bitcoin stays flat, that would actually end up being the test of the 200-week moving average. So keep an eye on that throughout the weekend. As for the Dow, a little bit of a rough morning, kind of regaining some of it now, only down 37 points after the PPI or Producer Price Index info was released this morning. I understand we get all these clicks, like guaranteed. Smart money all knows what all this is saying. This was all expected, and that these readings were all just fine. Makes good headlines to finally say there was an uptick in it, but it's just not true. We reached the peak of it, and that's why we talked about it for 3 months before we got to here to say the reading that we would get in July for our June data would be the peak of it. It would be the climatic ending. Everything after that is just going to be a crawl. And we're going to see bounces up and bounces down. And if we are going to drift below 3% consumer price index or CPI, if we're going to drift below 3 and get into those 2s, it will likely take months to happen. My best guess is the earliest it could happen would be in November, when we get the October reading in November. So at least 3 months from now before we could see that thing drift back below 3%. So it's even very possible that in our next reading that we get next month, the CPI drifts up even a little bit higher. But then after that, hopefully a couple of drifts back lower. But it's just, this is where we're at. We're going to stay here between this 3 and this 4 for probably quite some time, unless we get some really good readings in October and November. Otherwise, ranging action for the Dow. The Dow has been ranging in here for the last week as well. So there we go. That's what our week has been like this week, and we're just waiting for Bitcoin to get a breakout. And like I said, this is not unusual behavior for us to be ranging and to be boring. It's actually right on par with what the entire year has been like for 2023. The green areas are where price is moving up. The red is consolidation or down. Overall trend up. But as you can see, this is totally how these things end up working. Quick periods of move up, long periods of moving sideways. And so what happens is, like we always talk about capitulation. You can come in price capitulation. There can be news capitulation, narrative capitulation. There can be time-based capitulation. We see multiple of these, right? You got narrative and you got time. You got narrative and you got price on this one, right? So this actually wasn't very long, but what was this? This was banking crisis happening in here, right? This one is time-based capitulation, then with narrative, right? SEC suing everybody, right? This one, of course, FTX, right? This is just historically how these things go, and we're all just patiently waiting. But nothing's out of the usual. Welcome to markets. This is how markets behave. Any expectations of that life is like this all the time, go look at all your favorite charts. Go look at the ones that you're the most bullish on and tell me if they're spending all their times like this. They're not. It's like this. So third week straight. Typically, whenever we get to this, because first of all, not my first rodeo. Been doing YouTube videos for almost 4 years now. When we get into these and we get stuck and it starts getting stale, and we've pretty much beaten every idea out there, waiting for price action to be able to talk about price action. There's like nothing more to say. We're usually pretty close to getting something to happen, and I think we're just about there because there's not much to say outside of, hey, break from the range now. We've beaten every angle as hard as we can. All right. So I'm going to hop into the chat now, guys. It's Friday. How long did I ramble for? 22 minutes. I didn't even think I could ramble that long. Okay. It is Friday, guys. I hope you have had a wonderful week. This has been my first week back from vacation. It's been nice to be back. It would have been even nicer to get some price action happening in here besides some CPI and PPI narratives. But we'll see what next week has in store with us. So, all right, let's jump in the chat. Chris Perez. Wouldn't this price be too low for wave D to finish? No. So you're talking about XRP, right? Here's what you could do, right? First of all, I'm not a big trend line guy, but obviously we're looking at this from the log scale, correct? There's linear. So there we go. For a contracting triangle, right? Hope that answered, brother. I skipped everybody first. Lenosec, he says, am I first? Let's start the train. You were first. Oh, man. Zerp twerp. See, this is an OG right here. He says 20,000 XRP could be life-changing in a few years. From Vincent Wilson. Vincent Wilson, very famous for always saying that. And he would always do it on my videos, too. I always felt special because he would do it on my videos, every single video as well. Crypt Keeper says, fun fact, Hogan reviewed Taurus's record versus appeals a week ago or so. And all of her interlocutory appeals specifically, she is undefeated. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Exactly. So there's a lot of steps that are going to have to go right for the SEC to get some type of victory happening in here. But even the first one, it's like stepping into the boxing ring versus the undefeated champ. And has the SEC brought the fire to make you think that they have the capabilities of beating? I mean, they got crushed in this whole lawsuit. They got made to look like clowns. All the wishing and washing and lying and changing their stories over and over again. She likely sealed that thing pretty tight. Thank you, Crypt Keeper. Chris Perez, we already got you, brother. Thank you. Brett, new member, welcome. Oh, Whale, welcome, buddy. Thank you. Andrew Handelsman, gifted one. Gifted a BCB membership. Thank you very much. Jack, member for 21 months, going on almost 2 years. BCB, any thoughts on the high-yielding dividend stocks like AT&T? It yields 7%, but looks like the stock is crashing. Yeah, so I have a hard time with that as like a technical analyst. The yield, it's just like buying a crypto and holding a crypto to stake it, right? But if it loses 30%, was it worth staking it? Right? Not really. So if something's going to offer something like that, let's look at it for fun. AT&T, one of the lucky ones who got their the single letter. Yeah, so you're at a funny point right here, right? So you're at a point where, so this is over 20 years, right? This is 24 years of crashing happening in here. Is AT&T dead? Is this a liquidity grab, right? So how many years has this taken? This has taken 20 years to finally take out that support. Is it a liquidity grab after 20 years? Maybe so. For something like just the potential of it being an actual breakdown in here, a really bad breakdown happening in here, I wouldn't be able to touch it. But that's just me. Right? So to lose your 7%, I mean, geez, look at that. That's all it has to go. And your whole year's worth of dividends are ruined. You know, treasuries, man. You can go buy a treasury and have no volatility and get 5.25. The 6-month yield pays 5.27%. 4-month pays 5.3. Who's the big winner? Yeah, the 1 year pays 5.36%, and be exposed to no volatility. So. Those are way more, that would be way more alluring to me than trying to guess on that one and get 7%. George Alexanderopoulos, thank you very much. BCB, any thoughts on the Ripple case marking the top of the market? Have you looked into Wyckoff distribution possibly going on in Bitcoin right now? Just being objective. Thanks. I don't think it marks the top. I think the thing that I'm more worried about, JB, I saw JB make a super chat here a minute ago. I'm interested to see what he read or what he said, because we addressed yesterday the whole concept of Bitcoin going to $2,000 to $3,000, and then TXMC Trades shared that over there on Twitter yesterday, and of course gets mixed reactions from a lot of different people. That's the concern that I'd have right now, right? If this is right, watching like 38,000. And so we talked about that in yesterday's live stream to keep a close eye on that. If this is not just the thing we've presented for years, hide everything really fast. That just like Ethereum, right? We would retrace. The market screams, no, we're going 10 to 12K. I kept saying that time, if you think we're going to 10 to 12K, why are you bullish? Because it's only going to get really bad in here if we go to 10 to 12K. But the big concern here is this $38,000 area, getting back in here, because otherwise this is what Ethereum looked like. So distribution, what do you think? An up thrust, right? After distribution. And then that would be the final ending of it. I'll play with one other thing too. Let me use a different chart because I don't want to ruin this one. You guys will hate me. Let's see if I can figure it out. All right, goodbye to all this. This was just kind of a lesson for people who are getting impatient in there to understand this is what markets are always like this in crypto. Most of the time spent consolidating, very little amount of the actual real time is spent rising. Okay. Let's have some fun here. Let's see. Sorry. Dead air. Remember I used to do dead air? Like, you guys have to like. If you want me to talk, you have to like. All right. If we do this, we'll mirror it. All right. Let's see if I've got this figured out here. That doesn't seem right. Which one is it? Is it this one? Sorry, it's been a little while since I've done this. You're going to have to be patient with me if you want to see it. Let's do that. It doesn't feel right. Okay, it's got to be that. Let's go log. Or can we stretch this thing any further? Okay. Conceptually, you get the idea. The rate at which we're moving and the price structure of what we're behaving at is one that there should be some concern when we get up here, finally through here. So like I've talked about, is that the market sentiment will finally shift on this break. This will be where all the worry goes away. Everybody becomes euphoric and YOLO. I'm going to become concerned about Bitcoin at that point, and not guessing that the top is here. I'll be issuing warnings that it could be here. But of course, my thoughts are, you got the whole retracement area. The argument I've had all the last 2 years has been that we get back into retracement levels. And that's going to pretty much be this zone back in here, which everybody screamed would not happen. We're going to 10 to 12K. By the time we get here, at a minimum, we'll be up 142%, 200, 250, somewhere in that region. There's no, I can't, like, the more I think about it, there's no real reason for me to, like, super care about Bitcoin. The math just doesn't work for Bitcoin anymore. No matter, like, why, unless if you're just trying to really speculate on timing the market, it's hard for me to see why it would be beneficial to hold Bitcoin beyond that. I was talking with TXMC the other day as well, and you talk about the size of the bull runs that have happened historically, and that it's the bear markets get a little bit smaller every time, and then the bull runs get smaller every time, and the bull runs are typically about 1/5 of the size of past ones. Even if you assume we're going to new all-time high. Now, one thing you've noticed here, have you guys ever seen me, right, in the last year and a half, 2 years, or even here in 2023 as price has been moving up, have you guys ever seen me try to come up with a bull run scenario for Bitcoin and a price target for Bitcoin? You haven't, right? I haven't done it because I don't see it. I don't see, and for those who weren't here in 2018, 19, 2020, when we went through C19, we went through all that stuff. Target was still 70K the whole time. People thought I was an irresponsible person. They thought it was crazy. We had 25% unemployment, people getting stimulus checks, people not knowing about their health, they're not knowing if they're going to be okay. We're all wearing face masks, we're wearing gloves, people are walking around with binders on their face to go to the grocery store. And BCB's over here saying, we're going to 70K with a $5,000 Bitcoin price on the screen, right? That's because it was real clear and stuck to the plan, and executed on that. But you don't see me creating price targets much higher for Bitcoin because I just don't see them. I don't have a scenario drawn out here. There's really only two things. Either like we've talked about with super cycles, is it starting a whole new super cycle? If so, right, it's going to take 10 or 15 years for it to completely play out. Or is it kind of being stuck with the stock market? Is the stock market going to like hit a 4.236 extension and then roll over and go with the stock market? That one seems more probable to me. You don't see me creating, lining this stuff up and saying next target 4.236, $240,000. It's because this isn't the same thing. It's not the same thing we had in 2018 through 2020. This was so clear. This was beautiful. But what we have here is not. So I don't think we're going to all-time highs. And I don't see why I should hold much Bitcoin at all. It's hard for me to see it. In that, my theory of the market for the last 2 years has been, we'll go back into retrace. All the 10 to 12Kers will get left behind, right? They'll be screwed. We'll go back into the retracement. But really, that's all about it. And that all those 10 to 12Kers will all capitulate back into the market. Where's the emotional line of where fear disappears? It disappears right there at $2,000. So all the capitulating back into the market takes place as we get above that line. That's where all the worry and the fear is over and everybody pours back in. And you had asked, do you think the Ripple case marks the top of the market? No, I would think a Bitcoin ETF would mark the top of the market. I'm also doubtful that we'll even get one. And you don't see me covering the Bitcoin ETF stuff here often because I've been through this rodeo before. A lot of these guys have been through this rodeo before on the Bitcoin ETF. It's a carrot dangled on a string. And it always is pushed back. It is always denied by the SEC. Nothing ever ends up coming from it. But people hold their hopes up for it. And how many people reply to me saying, that won't happen if Bitcoin ETF... Tell me you weren't here in 2020. Tell me without telling me you weren't here in 2020. When you're correcting me based on Bitcoin ETF rumors. We've been through all of it before. If it did get approved, I would think that would mark the top. Typically, when we have ETF approvals happening, futures happening, those are always marking pivotal moments. When the short ETF, the ProShares short BIFI, BIFI. No. There it is. BITI. BITI. Right? This is the ProShares Trust, ProShares Short Bitcoin ETF. This was released in June of 2022. Oh, you mean after we had already capitulated, you let everybody start shorting it? That's cool. When we hit our top back in 2017, it was when we had Bitcoin futures, right? So there was the anticipation of it. Like we could get the announcement of it and then it could get released and maybe there's like a 1 week pump into that moment or something. But I would think that would be a bigger indicator of a mark of the top. But the point I'm getting at when I'm talking about Bitcoin is I'm having a really big internal battle with myself. I'm talking about putting 20% of my Bitcoin into XRP in this scenario. But that still leaves a remaining 45%. Right? 35%, I'll ride or die with it. I'll take that thing all the way down to $2,000, right? I'll ride that thing all the way down into the ground. But I don't want to ride the whole thing down into the ground. And if I'm wrong, and if Bitcoin does go surging beyond there, well, I'd like to still at least have 35% of my Bitcoin to go on that ride with it. But I'm having the struggle right now on what to do with that remaining 45%. and contemplating, will I actually be rotating that Bitcoin as well? So there's a chance. Right now, my main focus is 20% of it, but getting in here may start preparing to get rid of the remaining 45% as well, and still keep 35% long-term hold. Remember, I was a bull all in here. So I did refill my bags with Bitcoin pretty good back down in here. So a lot of this Bitcoin that I'm using here is replenished Bitcoin, rising up. Then it's time to let her go. Anyway, that was me just kind of rambling with my thoughts. Sometimes when things are going through my head a lot, you get to watch it happen live here. But that's kind of been my thing I've been focusing on as the market's been boring, is that, structurally, I do believe we'll break up. I do believe that everybody who was screaming 10 to 12K have now become the mega bulls up here. They're the exact same people that were the 100Kers here. They're the exact same people that were the 10 to 12Kers here. And then if you say anything about, okay, I'm bearish on Bitcoin, they're going to scream, doomer, getting left behind, blah, blah, blah. And that's just the low info people. And unfortunately, no matter what you do, they will never change. They're never going to improve. And so we'll have that loudness in there. And I'm kind of mentally preparing that I'll probably be dealing with that. I always do. I dealt with it here. I dealt with it here. And they, of course, have been screaming, reversal, reversal, reversal. Then they're going to get to the point where it can no longer reverse. And that's just normal behavior. Remember, retail always piles back in retracement levels. They wait till we get there, then they pile back in. Sorry, you're watching my brain spin. Anyway, 38K. Once we get above 38K, run the math in your head. Where are you targeting Bitcoin? Are you targeting 75 grand? Are you targeting 50 grand? Are you targeting 45 grand? And figure out what percentage is that, right? Is that why you're here? Are you here to chase 17%? I don't know about you. I'm not. I'm not. So, yeah. And then, like we've talked about, we've done this thing too. And we haven't looked at it in a while. Let's do USDT dominance plus USDC dominance plus Bitcoin dominance plus Ethereum dominance. Right. I think's peaked, right? This is as high as it went in. This was the safety trade. This was the safety trade of 2018 as well, 2019. I don't know. I think XRP is going to take it. I do. Oh, we got a little bit of a green flip happening over here in the market right now. You got Bitcoin at 29.5. How about that, guys? The highest price in 24 hours. Caught it live. All right, I'm moving on. I don't even know if I answered your question. And no, but I don't think the Ripple case marks the top. If anything, what if it changes the narrative of it all? And Bitcoin is like not the place to be. Gosh, don't let a Bitcoiner hear that. Pat! Man, thank you, Pat. Always so generous, brother. Thank you. Justin Wiles, Coinbase didn't unlist Dash. It had a parabolic rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and then bad news in the spring. Plus, it had dev growth per electric capital. Nice, man. Justin, you maybe been paying more attention to it than I have. Yeah, I haven't looked into Dash in quite some time, but I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Crypto Prepper, welcome, new member. Jory, SEC screwed the inverse head and shoulders on the 1 hour. Surely the appeal is FUD. 1 hour inverse head and shoulders. What? What are we doing here? Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at inverse head and shoulders on the 1 hour. I don't even know where you saw it. Where did you see it? Okay. Yeah, if we're looking for broader trends, just I wouldn't live and breathe in the 1 hour. You're giving yourself way too much stress. Creative Vit. Can XRP be in Wyckoff, as you mentioned a few days ago, with the possible spring to 58 instead of a contracting triangle? You're talking about the whole thing? Nah. No. This was Wyckoff. This whole section, this is Wyckoff. Automatic selling, or climatic selling, automatic reaction, your secondary test, and then your last point of support. This was a Wyckoff accumulation. But no, ABC, 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 ABC. Now, hopefully, we can finally work our way out of here. But no, you're talking about like a 5-year Wyckoff. I wouldn't call that that. If you go do reading on Wyckoff, you go read any of the stuff on stock charts or Jim Forte's anatomy of a trading range. You're not going to have them be like uptrend and then the whole thing being a Wyckoff. They're going to be at range boundaries. Distribution will be at the top of range boundaries, and Wyckoff accumulation at the bottom of range boundaries. Oh, your new course is great. Love it. Thank you, Creative. I missed the end of that. Thanks, bro. Your new course is great, by the way. I love it. Thank you. Somebody tweeted it on Twitter today too, or was it last night? Maybe it was today. I'm thinking about retweeting it, but you dropped a really hard F bomb, saying it's effing amazing. And I try to keep things PG, bro. I really appreciate the amazing review, but the F bombs. All right. Oscar Hernandez says, hit the like button. Show some love to the legends, BCB and PTW. Thank you very much, Oscar. Yes, please hit the like button on this live stream if you're enjoying it. Thank you. And happy Friday, everybody. Justin Wiles, SWI and Aptos in BCB crashing structure. Expecting 50 cents-ish on SWI and like 530 on Aptos in wave 7. I don't know. So SWI is like, good luck, TA, in that thing, right? It's brand new, supply dynamics, all that stuff. It's one of those like gamble bets, right? Like when things come out in the beginning, like when Solana comes out and it's under $1, or when QNT comes out and it's under $1, right? Good luck trying to do it right there in the very beginning. And most times and not a lot of times it doesn't turn out to very much at all, right? It could just kind of crumble on itself. So it's a big gamble on those brand new coins. As for Aptos, we can look at Aptos. SWI, I just don't think there's anything to really look at. Aptos. Aptos is a little more confusing, a little more challenging for me, at least looking at the structure, because like what I see is like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC. Maybe that's 1, 2. Right. We'll theoretically wave count it. Unless this would be a big ABC, which is possible, right? Like it's ABC. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. If you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's what you're saying. We go down lower, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then picking out the next target. I would think just reality of that spot being wide open, probably in there. So what did you say? You said 530. Yeah, there you go. Seems reasonable to me. Thank you, Justin. Baby Oscar Hernandez says, what are your favorite conspiracies? Baby O want the truth. Okay. Favorite conspiracies. Do they have to be market? They're probably not market related, right? See, some of them you have to be careful because I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube, right? I have some controversial ones, guys, but I don't ever talk about them. They're so controversial. I don't know about the UFO stuff. It's up in the air on the UFO stuff, but mathematically, come on, it seems probable. It seems probable. Look at all of you. Yes, give us the conspiracies. Maybe it's better for Twitter, right? Like Twitter, like you can kind of say whatever you want. Get in any kind of trouble on Twitter. YouTube, you can kind of get yourself in a little bit of a hairy mess because I have some of them that are so conspiratorial. I don't know if I'd get myself in trouble on YouTube, and I have to be well behaved. But yeah, UFOs, maybe. I'm trying to think of other conspiracies. I totally think, like, I know I say it so many times. I know it. You get sick of it. Magical unicorn, fairy dust, puppet masters pulling the puppet strings, God, or a simulation. That I really sincerely believe there's something weird that happens with markets and real life events. And I cannot put my finger on that pulse of which one is it. Is it a grand conspiracy that there's like a bunch of moving parts that are happening at one time and they all time it to happen perfectly on point? Or is it baked into the reality of this pre-programmed universe that we're all living in? And I know that sounds nuts. I should be put in a mental institute, but if we didn't have the data for things to happen, and if I didn't talk about that stuff so much, and then you guys all watch XRP break out within 6 days of an 820-day price behavior, and then it happens, it makes you, and then you see the Fed ban themselves from owning stocks at the 4.236 extension of the S&P 500. And then is Congress going to ban themselves at the 4.236 extension of the NASDAQ and the Dow? Is it all random? Is it all just happening completely randomly? Or is there a puppet master pulling all the strings? Like if you think it's a puppet master pulling the puppet strings, then you would have to think that Judge Torres, right, to release her ruling within 6 days, that she's in on it, or she was given the green light from some higher power. Or is it totally just like baked into the cake of reality? I don't know. It's really weird. It's really weird. Big Shroom says, like the stream for more spooky truths. It's the Truman Show. Sir Big 1997 says, I believe it's a phenomenon of human behavior and it tends to repeat itself. Right. So how do you explain this, though? Right. Like, how do you explain how we bring this thing up for so long? 88.5%, right? Okay. So, or 85.5%. We can explain that away. We can say that's as far as it went. We can say that the market makers and the institutions all had their floor price of where they were like, if I'm getting it at this price, it's a total steal. I'm not letting it go below there. You can sell it as hard as you want. I'll gobble it all up at that price. That's okay, right? That we could say is human behavior and that is institutional buying, and they just won't let the price go lower. But what's real hard is that, this is the peak of the market back in 2021, April 14th. This is where Coinbase IPOs. This is the peak of market euphoria in the market outside of the retrace when Elon goes on to Saturday Night Live. This is the peak, April 14th. It's, Coinbase IPO and it's Bitcoin's peak at that time. And then to go, like, let's get it lined up. And then to go and do Wyckoff accumulation and then get right there. And then it breaks out of the Wyckoff accumulation right on time. How do you explain that? Like how do you explain it without like really questioning things? Like does nobody else like really like think about that for a long time and say, man, that was weird. All right, I got to move on. Thank you, baby Oscar. Matthew Gruska. Pat gifting memberships left and right. Thank you. BCB, I figured you'd be a fantasy baseball diehard, but I understand wanting to focus 100%. Played fantasy baseball a lot. I've always enjoyed it. I'm always really competitive with it. The thing with it is you have to dedicate time every day, right? You have a pitcher who maybe was going to be a starting pitcher and then he's not going to be. He's being pulled that day, so you got to rotate your roster. So you actually have to check on it every day and really maybe twice a day. And I just made that commitment at the beginning of the season that my plate is too full to commit to that, but I certainly enjoy it. Ahmed Sawala. Hey, BCB voice. Wait, hold on. I'll get back to you. I missed you. Matt Smith, my man, says, hey, as always, bro, you give so much great alpha. You are so appreciated. Thank you for all that you do, brother. Much love. Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it, man. You're always a big supporter, dude. Thank you. Ahmad Sawala. Hey, BCB. If we are in the E wave, do you think we are done with wave C in the E wave, or do you think we go lower than 59? I think we could go as low as 54. I couldn't imagine going lower than 54, but that we could. And like I said, like you guys may have noticed this. I still had it all on there. If you didn't watch the video, right? What do wave E's have? Wave E's typically have horizontal triangles. So just because we have ABC right in here doesn't mean we don't ABC, 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 and then finally it can go. It could. And that we pulled up stock charts on that video 2 days ago, discussing all of that, showing the rules, showing everything, and that's the thing to be mindful of. Right? If we were going to keep moving at the velocity that we did in 2017, we're way beyond that to be saying we're moving at that velocity. Now it's about finding a bottom. And if we shift back up, there'll be a ton of excitement for moving back up. But to just remember that there's likely going to be a third range boundary when we shift back up. But that's okay. That's just how these things tend to go. Okay. Thank you, Matt Smith. Thank you, Ahmad Sawalaha. Stephen Edinburgh. Love the course. I'm heading into my first bull run. I know you have mentioned that it's over in a matter of weeks or month. How did you feel on your first crypto bull run? It's pronounced Edinburgh. Edinburgh. There we go. Edinburgh. Stephen Edinburgh. Thanks, brother. If you've never been through one at all, yuck. I don't know if you're emotionally ready. Usually you got to go through one and get kind of like pulled in every direction and confused to have the experience of what they're like. They're usually exciting. It's the same stuff you always see. Like in these, we recently had the meme stuff going on in here, right, guys? What was it, Ben F or whatever, F Ben, whatever it was, and all the different memes. Everybody's shilling every single meme. Everybody's throwing money all over the place. That happens throughout the whole market. And they've each been different, right? Like in 2017, and it went into the first month of 2018. We had like John McAfee, who was like doing daily coins, and he would do one, and the thing would just go absolutely ridiculously big. And so you have like this one aspect of stuff that really does fire up like 10,000% in 2 or 3 weeks. But then you have other stuff that kind of just gradually keeps going, like Ethereum and Litecoin in 2017 really kind of kept pace with what Bitcoin was doing near the end of 2017. Yet you had XRP sitting way behind. It was still 50% below its all-time high that had been set back in May. So there was like this depression factor sitting over there in the XRP community, which there wasn't really an XRP community back then. While watching Litecoin and Ethereum and Bitcoin all go really high, and all the XRP FUD you see out of Bitcoiners, it is engraved in Bitcoin culture. It's normal. This is what we always see. It's nothing new. Them coming, my YouTube videos used to get non-stop Bitcoiners coming in here to crap on XRP. And then when the SEC lawsuit happened, they just kind of thought they were in the clear and they didn't need to do it anymore. What we're seeing right now, them trying to instill fear, trying to create FUD, it's what they've always done. And the only way we've been able to like justify why they do what they do is they're freaking terrified of it. Otherwise, why do they even care? Right? If Bitcoin is so great, if it's going to take over the world, why do they even care? Why did they go so far out of their way? And I think it's a really big fear built up inside of them. Otherwise, I can't explain it. I've been making YouTube videos for 4 years, over 1,000 videos over here. I've seen a lot of it over the years. There's no way to explain it outside of just total fear and culture. But either way, you think to yourself, and then a lot of things were similar there in 2021 in regards to, you think to yourself that everything is going all at once. You could be pulled in so many ways. You can be in some altcoins, and there's other ones that are shooting up. And then what happens is you've got all your buddies on Twitter, all the people you follow, they're all shilling this coin now that has been skyrocketing. And you're sitting in your other coin and you're like, forget this one. I'm out of here. I'm going to go chase that one that's already mooning. And then that one stops. And then the one that you were in, that you sold, starts mooning. And you're like, oh no, I got to get back in. I can't believe it did that. And you start jumping all around. And the hardest part is dealing with the social media aspect of it. Because when a coin starts taking off, and it's still this way to this day, people will post about it on Twitter and tell you it's awesome. And they try to instill excitement, and they're celebrating, whether or not they're trying to lure you in to pump the price higher, or if they truly are just excited. There's this FOMO factor that happens, and it gets exponentially bigger on Twitter. And that's why we saw things like that with Pepe, right? Recently. That happens all over the market, and it happens with accounts that you may respect. The hard one is like there's so many like coins that are actually shilled specifically to the XRP community. So you've got like like if you own XRP, there's a high likelihood that you probably own a subset of other coins. I won't name them. A lot of you know what they are. And so if those coins start taking off, they're going to get shilled to the XRP community. And anyway, it's really hard to sit on your hands is what I'm saying. And it gets really exciting and really euphoric and really wild. And you start second guessing yourself if you haven't been through any of it before. You start thinking, I need to jump from this one to that one, or I need to jump from that one to this one. Oh no, I just jumped and then the one I was in just took off. I know a lot of you are sitting there saying, yep, that has definitely happened to me. So, no, people are trying to guess the coins. You guys aren't even guessing them. You guys know what they are. Anyway, it's exciting. It's fun. It's short-lived. And when it's happening, nobody thinks it'll ever come to an end. That doesn't change. And it's usually marked with really good news, right? Well, remember that. Bottoms are marked with bad news. Tops are marked with good news. What was the marking point? Does anybody remember what the marking point of the top of Pepe was? Here we are, some Degen ERC20 token that's only tradable over there on Uniswap. If you get the contract, bam, you guys got it, right? What marked the literal top? It blew up so big, so amazing, it got listed on Binance. Yep, SEX listing, centralized exchange listing. And that marked the top. The greatest news ever. These people who are just buying it on Uniswap, having to like understand how to do that. And I get it. It's not that hard to set up MetaMask, to connect it to Uniswap, to get some Ethereum in there, to buy the coins, to set it up in your Uniswap. It's not that hard to do it once you learn how to do it, but there is a learning curve. And not a lot of people go through that. They just keep their money over there on an exchange and keep it simple. So the early people got to capitalize the rewards, but then when it finally gets listed on the exchange and the massive amount of liquidity is actually available, what happens? Boom, done. Game over. Eric, I typed in a proposal and heard that in the background. Yep. We were talking about it at the time, Eric, you and me. All right. Anyway, it's crazy. It's crazy. The hardest thing to do is sit on your hands. But yeah, thank you very much, Steven. You said you loved the course too. Thank you very much. BC says YouTube keeps 30% of the money from super chats. They do. And they keep 30% of members too. Where can we donate so you will get to keep more of what we give you? That's very kind of you, BC. The number one way to support me is not donating. It's that I try to create value and then offer it as low of a price as possible to make it available to everybody. The number one way to support me is to educate yourself, and that's just by bcbacker.com. I know you hear it every day. This is literally the number one way to support me. And I've tried to give you something in exchange rather than it just being a donation and there you go, your money's gone. I've tried to give you something back as much and try to not only like one up what was done over 3 years ago, but to like really one up it and still do it at the same price to keep it right there. That's the number one way ever there. But no, I don't have donation addresses or anything like that. But yeah, YouTube, they keep a portion of it. Yes, they do. But I don't know. The way I think of it is that, if YouTube's making money from me, then they'll keep my account in good standing. They'll promote my videos and all that stuff, and it all comes back around. So, I don't complain. I don't complain. They give me the platform to speak on. Sick Thinker says the course is fire. Thank you very much. XRP Monkey, for real, is the best money spent. We all spend so much on dumb stuff. Thank you. All right. Thanks, BC. I don't have donation addresses, brother. I'm sorry, man. I just try to give you something in return. But I don't have any donation addresses. I always tell my mom, though. She asked me what I want for my birthday, and I always say $1 million, and no one has ever given it to me. I'm like, hey, it's my birthday. Again. Where's that million? No one. Okay. OXT. I don't know. I don't follow OXT anymore. Oh, hey, look at that thing. Got yourself a little bit of a pop. Sloppy kind of Wyckoff happening in here. It looks like you're getting your sign of strength starting to emerge in here. Again, like all these coins that are kind of struggling here. So keep an eye on that, 20 cent area. This was a floor that OXT did hold for years, right? This is from August of 2020 to May of 2022. So it's almost 2 years that it held this floor. If you got back there, just kind of watch out. Nick says, by the way, FYI, the SEC released an 86-page document regarding the ARK ETF. Okay, well, here, I'm going to find out how they're reacting. How's ARK? I know it has nothing to do with ARK, or the ARK Innovation ETF, but you'd think people would FOMO into ARK if it was positive. So, 86 pages, huh? Is that a fancy way of saying no? Ryan Chase, thank you very much, Ryan. And he says, BCB, your Ethereum video is one of the best videos you've ever done. Thank you. The metrics on that video, it's so funny. The metrics it's one of the least viewed, but the like ratio and engagement ratio and the view time of that video is through the roof. It's funny. Also, I'm rocking a BCB t-shirt across the country as a long-haul truck driver. Love you, bro. Oh, man, I didn't... Dude, thank you. I've got mine, too. Everything I have has come in, except for the sticker. I still haven't gotten my sticker yet. There you go. There's a link in the chat to the BCB merch store. What are we on here? We're on ARK? Okay. How's the stock market doing? We'll check in on it again. Hey, look at that. The indexes have flopped green. Look at the Dow. It's up 145 points. How will the week close? Today will dictate it, right? If we get a green day today, right? I think that's kind of what it depends on. How about that? Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad you like it. Thank you. We've got all kinds of stuff. We've got, the t-shirt here in the house. We've got the t-shirts. We've got the coffee cups. We've got the tumblers. We've got like the cutoff sweater. We've all my kids have shirts, and the dog has it too. We got the one for the dog. He looks good. Thank you very much. Juan D. Estrada. What would happen if Satoshi sold his Bitcoin for XRP? Is there a scenario where whales go from Bitcoin to XRP, such when XRP went in ADA after the SEC attack? I don't think that would ever happen, man. I don't think that. But here's the problem. I presented a poll recently and asked what would happen if Satoshi sold or moved 1 Bitcoin. And I think, run that through your head. What would happen? 1 Satoshi Bitcoin moves. 1 Satoshi wallet gets activated. 1 Bitcoin moves. And then price drops 20%. Okay, let's play it out. Okay, I'm not predicting this, but it's fun to think about. And I don't know if it's fun, but let's say this happens. It's just a thought experiment. If you don't do thought experiments, then, what are you doing? Okay. Here we go. It's August 11th, 2023. Suddenly, one Bitcoin moves from a Satoshi wallet, and instantly, in 1 minute, Bitcoin falls 20%. This candle took 5 minutes. Okay? It's 5 minutes later. What are you going to do? Okay? Then, 5 minutes later, falls another 10%. Now what? What are you going to do? Man, could you imagine? Could you imagine? If that happens, I hope for a pickup from yourself. Well, I don't know what would happen. I couldn't give you the details of what would happen. But I've run this thought experiment with somebody and asked what they would do. Bitcoin doesn't make up, like, how much does Bitcoin make up? I don't know the real number. Maybe 15% of my portfolio. I don't know. But if it did happen, like, just the thought of what you would do, right? You're not going to come to this YouTube channel and I'm going to know the answer for you, right? Somebody says, "I'll come to you and listen and see what you say." I mean, yeah, but I mean, my thoughts are going to be, here we go. Let's see what happens, right? This guy's got 1 million Bitcoins, right? What's going to happen? How would you handle it? So, well, see, Ben Koss says Satoshi is dead, my guy. You're totally speculating that, right? You're totally speculating it. You don't know that. People Tart says, I think unironically, if it goes under 20K, I'm going to sell everything I own and shove it all in. Okay. One Bitcoin moves. That happens. Suddenly 1,000 Bitcoins move in Satoshi's wallet. Then 50,000 Bitcoins move and they go to Binance from Satoshi's wallet. Then what? Then what? I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to happen, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but everybody does think that thing. Like Ben said, he says, Satoshi's dead. What if he's not? Right? That's like that risk, right? So people say, oh, Ripple has, supply, right? Well, Satoshi has supply. Nobody knows who Satoshi is. And what would you do in the event that the Bitcoins did move? It's just a thought experiment. There's nobody needs to get upset about it, but to think about it. What would you do? Would you react immediately? Would you have to take a safety play immediately on that, even if it's already dropped 20%? Or would you say whatever? I don't know. I'm not predicting that. And I don't see any evidence to think that's going to happen, right? I don't see any. But it was a fun discussion I had recently. But one, I don't know, brother. It would be really weird for Satoshi to sell his Bitcoin for XRP. I mean, that's a big stretch. I don't think that'd ever happen. XXX says, "Hey, bro, I know you hold SUI, so do I dare asking TA?" No, I think I already explained that earlier, right? It's a brand new coin. Good luck, TA, in it. It's more of just a grab and see if it gets any type of pump, and then be able to do some measurements on that. But no, no. Mill ZRG, the world is a stage. Masons tell lies, Masons control both sides, and water always finds its level. Okay. That must be back on the conspiracy discussion we were having 20 minutes ago. Thank you. Clay, new member. Welcome, Clay. Brilliant. Oscar Hernandez's favorite waitress shows up and says the Fed is a privately owned currency monopoly. It's also just like a Ponzi. Those are the puppet masters. Okay. Floppy God can't. Thank you, Oscar Hernandez's favorite waitress. But yeah, does that explain the breakout for XRP with the ruling? I don't know. Flippy God Candles. BCB, thank you for all that you do. And that was it. Thank you, Flippy God Candles. Thank you. Zoltan Vokuya. Stop being so nice, BCB. Thank you. Santiago, my man, dude. Every single time, there's never a message with it. Did you leave a message? No, you just come in and drop bombs, and that's it. Santiago, thank you, man. Thank you very much. All right, Alpha Trader Inc., member for 2 months. Thank you very much. Says, hey, thanks for all the knowledge you share. Many do not grasp the value of knowledge, and you share it freely. Oh, can you please say quant? It's quaint. All right. Now look at that. SHIB leading the day. All right, what do I want to do here? Let's look at the stock market. Dow Jones. You're up 140. NASDAQ in the red, though. ARK in the red. So, all right, somebody said SEC, ARK, Bitcoin, ETF. 4 minutes ago, Cointelegraph. The ARK 21 shares spot Bitcoin ETF is in limbo with the SEC government's latest move. Public gets 21 days to comment. Hey, what do you know? Yeah, it's guys, that is the story of ETF. So that's just what it is. It is what it is. I put no sweat equity. I put no vested interest or any type of anything into the Bitcoin ETF stuff. Seasoned pros should know that too. You've been through this video. I should make a video that is nothing but news articles of Bitcoin ETF from the last 6 years. That's what I should do. But all right, what are we at? Oh my gosh, we're at 1 hour and 21 minutes. I went longer today. Okay, so people tarts. This is a good question. Genuine question. How does Bitcoin nuke from here with so much demand? Countries are buying, some that we probably don't even know about yet. Eventually, the cascade of government announcing purchases will come. So that's where you have to think to yourself, am I speculating everything I just said? Countries are buying, some that we probably don't even know about. Eventually, the cascade of government announcing purchases will come. Every single part of that was total speculation. Totally. And volumes are ridiculously low on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's been historically tied to the stock market. Alpha beta soup. Yeah, so just you're latching onto a speculative narrative, and that speculative narrative gets lots of YouTube video clicks, it gets lots of engagement and lots of excitement and lots of just that. All right, we can talk about that. Karamola Baba Shaikh. Jeez, sorry, slaughtered that. I heard XRP skyrocketed to $50 on the Gemini exchange. You guys are probably seeing that all over Twitter. Gemini has listed XRP. Finally, right? So who cares about what the SEC's appeal is? Gemini sure didn't. They were the last one. They finally did it. And then, yeah, you're going to see it all over Twitter. XRP being at $50 on Gemini exchange, $1 something. And this, of course, is going to just stir the pot of conspiracy theorists and say, ooh, is it the secret price that we're not supposed to know about? $50 incoming. What happens when a new coin gets listed on an exchange is it has an illiquid order book. And if there's more buyers on there, then the exchange has available as supply or already built within the order book. A market order, a small market order can send the price up. One of the examples of the silliest thing that I see is I see XRP USD on Poloniex get showed all the time. And they show these wicks. Oh my gosh, we're going to zero. No, it's because it's a totally illiquid exchange, and this illiquidity gives the ability for those things to happen. And so that's what also happened back in here, right? And we see that. Let's see if there's any more of them in here. It looks like it's it for Poloniex. But yeah, well, we're going to zero. So when you have an exchange that just doesn't have much built into the order books, and this all happened within a couple hours after Gemini opened it up, it's just going through it. I think Eric sent me something. He said like, actually 9 XRPs were traded, 9 at $50 or something. I don't have a way to verify that, but that's what I heard. So, yeah, it's did it happen? Probably, but you got to remember the total volume of that transaction that happened was probably next to nothing. Maybe $1,000 of XRP was traded and all of that. And it's just because like like tokens on the XRP ledger, right? You see the spread on those. Spread on them is absolutely atrocious and crazy on some of them, and they're super liquid where just like $100 can pump the price 400%. It's just like that when a coin gets listed right on an exchange. The people to blame probably are Gemini. They didn't let the order books get thick enough before they opened it up. Or the demand was so strong. They didn't expect the demand to be that strong. They thought it would just be, hey, we're listing another coin. They probably didn't think that they were going to have as much demand as they did, and the order book didn't get filled enough. BCB, check the chart I messaged you. You're talking about altcoin dominance? Right. Well, we looked at it. We looked at this one earlier, right? So this is the one we always are bringing up. The safety trade has been over. This is what the safety trade was back in 2018, 19. So this is going to be your Bitcoin plus your Ethereum plus your USDC plus your USDT. We'll do that. Whereas your safety trade in here was Bitcoin. Right. And so what we actually talked about once we had this fall is like expecting it probably will pull back up here. But that's the thing too that we talk, like I keep talking about my indecisiveness with the remainder of my Bitcoin as well, is that I don't think we're going higher than this in here. That the Bitcoin dominance is fully topped, that the safety trade is fully topped, and that it could get in there. That may happen on a Bitcoin like pump suddenly to 38K or something like that. But that's the end, right? To expect something like this would mean you'd have to, maybe I'm not going to bet on that happening again, but that this would be the peak. Either way, you could hedge it as it pulls back. But that would be the moment. So I don't know. I'm thinking of letting go of even more Bitcoin, which Alpha Beta Soup, I guarantee that was not your hope. I'm just kidding. We are very good friends. That is TXMC Trades, by the way, for those who don't know that, Alpha Beta Soup. Eric Martinson says, BCB, how does Alpha Beta Soup feel about your Bitcoin thesis? There we go. There's some hearts. He tweeted about it yesterday. I don't think we're on any different pages there. I do communicate with him quite frequently. Print Engineering says, if banks use a private ledger, how do retail investors benefit? You're going to have to talk to the tech people on that. If they're not using XRP, right, then it won't matter. Mohammed says, what happens if the SEC declares everything but Bitcoin and XRP as security? Haven't they already done that? Just because they declare it doesn't mean anything. It has to go through the court system. Crypto Kaku asks if I use the fib-based, the trend-based fib extension tool. I've tried with it multiple times. I can't seem to have any luck with it. So for anything, I have to find like consistent, repetitive results with it. It's a tool that I haven't found that I find consistent, repetitive results to come from it. Like sometimes people will point to it like with any type of tool and say, see, it worked here. Yes, but let's go find all the other times where it didn't. And so I haven't found a way to use it where I get anything consistent. Could just be me not being experienced enough with it, but I just haven't seen anything yet. Ariel Wiseliner says, hey, BCB, now that the ETF is delayed, could that news in January of 24 mark the top of Bitcoin? This is just coming from personal experience, guys, to not put your eggs in the basket of the ETF. I'm telling you. Yeah, JB. Wait, JB, I thought I saw something come through from you. Why did it not show up in my thing? Maybe you didn't. I don't know why I thought you did. It's in neither of my lists. Never mind. Okay. I've let this thing go really long today, guys. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping her up. Oh, wow. Sorium says, BCB, I saw a video of a woman who had a vision of her exchange showing XRP at $25,000. Man, she better host a Twitter space. Oh, see, Richard B says Bitcoin miners need it to be at $92,000 by the halving, or it wouldn't be profitable to mine anymore. Yeah, so what would happen in that circumstance, right? What if it does become not profitable anymore? What happens to Bitcoin? You know, miners just, I mean, I know how it works, right? Miners turn off their mining machine, the mining industry essentially collapses. And that's something different we have about the Bitcoin mining stuff these days around, is that these are like tradable companies now compared to what they used to be. Used to just be dudes with graphics cards, right? And that's part of the message that's been lost with Bitcoin too, that anybody could just kind of secure the network, but you can't really secure the network profitably on your own. It's too expensive to do it. And now it's all run by the conglomerates now. Very easy hydroponics. Alan says, good morning, BCB. Please tell me you got some good news. Money, money, money. Well, I mean, the Dow is green to end the week. I mean, it's kind of good, but it's been like ridiculously volatile. I think we actually started the video by saying it's been the one of those really, really boring time periods where we've been in here for 19 days. And I think we're all just kind of getting tired of it, as we do when we sit in these things and we sit here for a long time. But the good news is, you know, we've been here quite a while. Eventually, this thing's going to break. But it's in one of the boring periods. JJ Jacob, that's been my theory the whole time. The rotation always happens in the retracement. And if Bitcoin is only going into retracement, it is going to be the biggest one in history, right? So that would be something we'd never experience. It's not a retracement of this magnitude, right? So we'll see, right? If that's all, what would it be? It would be a retracement in like a grand super cycle is what it would be. Ollie Stokes says, what do you think of Link and Adam here? Both of them. They're both included in the thread that I have over there on Twitter, and we brought it up here on the channel, that they both did their spring phases of Wyckoff, as did Shib, right? This one was included in that thread as well for those who remember that. It always is embarrassing when I have to be like, hey, Shib, it kind of looks bullish. Which I think maybe this is the first time I've ever done it. But yeah, that was a weird feeling. But either way, yep. Classic spring. So, all right. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because we're running pretty long here. An hour and 35 minutes. It's been a long time since I've done one this long. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it feels good to be back. First of all, I'm back from vacation. That's nice. Secondly, I know we're just kind of waiting for prices to get moving. It's been a little bit stale out there in the market. Hopefully we get something soon. Otherwise, we'll catch in on it. We'll check in on it next week. We'll do our thing. And hopefully we get something new to talk about because right now it's just ranging. And you know what? I've been through this rodeo so many times. It always eventually breaks. So we won't be here forever. We'll eventually break. Hopefully we get it next week or we get it over this week. And if we get it over the weekend, of course, I'll check in with you guys and we'll talk about it because we'll finally have something new to talk about. Oh, man, and wouldn't it be amazing if it was above 32,000? Just that would be the total sentiment shift of the whole market. So cheer for that. If you see over 32,000, man, hoot and holler and hooray and good times for the weekend. But otherwise, we just kind of sit back patiently and wait. But in these boring times, it is such a wonderful opportunity to catch up on your education with wonderful videos by me. You guys know it. bcbacker.com. Over 40 videos. Over 11 hours of content to absolutely blow your mind. Right here on bcbacker.com. All right, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We almost got the likes to 1,000. We're at 911. Let's see if we can hit it on the way out of here. So let's wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.